Boom! I was right. September, rolling hot. Second week. It's going to be a big week as well, folks. We're talking about 5 games today. 5, because, like I said, it's a big month, big week, big names throwing big stuff on crowdfunding. A little bit all over the place. So that's going to be the test of the market. What do you think? What's out there? What's going to attract you? Because again, very, very broad, wide-reaching mechanistic games, as well as just thematic games. What is going to be your ilk this week, if anything? Because don't worry, there's 2 more weeks to come after this that are going to test your patience and your wallet if you aren't already being tested in that sense. So let's go right into it. What is the first game that's launching this week? Well, you know what? We're going to talk about it right here. Mythic Mischief Season 2. Spoilers, can't tell you exactly one of the big things that's going to be going along with it, but you'll like it, because if you like this game, there's going to be something nice and practical to go along with it from a non-gameplay standpoint. And you know me, I don't say nice things about non-gameplay stuff all the time. So this has, at least the box that I have, right, 4 different new expansions. It doesn't overhead-wise add a whole lot. It doesn't change the dynamic of the game. If you didn't like the first game in the original, this isn't going to change your mind. If you like the first game in the original, yeah, this is something more asymmetric that you're going to be able to manipulate, find out which teams are suitable for you and which ones you just don't prefer. And that's probably the biggest downside too. My video will be launching on Tuesday live, Tuesday morning. Because that's when we can launch them. So want more details? Wait until then. But there's a reason I still have this game in my collection. You know, again, I'll be frank, I kind of forgot it was there. At the same time, as soon as I pulled it out, I was like, oh yeah, I like this. It's an abstract game with a theme. It's an abstract game with window dressing theme, and it works. It works really, really, really well. So if the abstract style of things is not your ilk, this isn't going to change your mind. I will say that I really like one of the modes that I really hadn't thought of, because this game is AP prone. And as someone who really likes a real-time game situation, the Blitz mode, sort of like Blitz chess, where they slam on the clock, right? And they go back and forth, Magnus Carlsen style. Yeah, I dropped a reference there. So that's also more widely available and usable in this, as well as the first edition. So that is by far and away my most anticipated game this week. Now, the second most anticipated game is actually, if you're paying close attention, what's on the table if you're looking very carefully at the bottom of the screen. It's actually, because I just finished filming it earlier, it's Flock Together. And you can see the box sitting right here, actually. So Flock Together is a cooperative game with asymmetric chickens with various levels that you can upgrade, going against various predators that you'll be fighting off from the pen. And you'll be maneuvering your little wooden meeple chickens in and outside of them, giving you one of 8 different actions you can take on your turn, doing several actions per turn, obviously, to try and mitigate this, defeat the bad guys, gather the resources, and ultimately defeat the hidden villain at the end, because you're going to be having to fight your way through 3 of these villains in order to get to the final secret boss one that is unknown to you. The other 3 are all flipped up, known to you during the game. They scale depending on the player count in terms of their health. They also scale depending on what level they are. You play through 3 whole seasons, and each season is going to have 7 rounds, and each player then gets a turn in that regard. So, you know, my biggest concern is how well does it scale to higher player counts? Is, it going to be the same at the lower player counts as at the higher player counts? Again, I just finished filming this, and I'll probably have that video go live on Monday if all things are considered me getting stuff done, right? Because if you missed what I said yesterday at the end of the crowdfunding roundup, I have a full busy weekend between kids and family stuff as well. So that's going to be crazy. But that is by far and away also number 2. Number 3 here is going to be a very interesting test. And I came across it when it came back around from the Portland Game Collective, if I'm remembering correctly. It's actually a trick-taking game called, well, Tricktakers. And it's actually a Japanese import that they're taking over, and they're doing a combined campaign with another game called Haggis. Yeah, that Haggis. Haggis is a trick-taking game, actually originally from 2010. So I'm wondering if they're going to be doing something slightly new or slightly different with this. Forgot this was sitting here, sorry. And so we're going to see what this kind of brings. It's a hand management trick-taking game with a climbing game aspect. I don't know, it talks about bombs in the Board Game Geek description as well. But Tricktakers is an asymmetric, like power-driven card trick-taking game, and so that may sound a little redundant, but it's really got something clever going on, and it's one of the more unique and interesting trick-taking games I've seen in a long time. And to be frank, I'm probably gonna back it. I almost traded for it from someone on Board Game Geek, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. They wanted a little bit more than I was willing to give up. But that's the big one on my radar as well, as sort of a dark horse sleeper hit, because their previous one, I think it was Kingmakers, was the other big one that really surprised people, which was also, I believe, reprint or redo brought over from Japan as well. So I'm really intrigued to see what they do price-wise and how affordable it is, because this game is not something that's been widely available, and I know the trick-taking crowd has been really interested and sort of tooting the horn about this one because it's really thought to be good. The fourth one up here this week is actually, again, going completely another direction here, Fromage. Well, I think like 18th or 19th century cheese making, if you will, over in France. And this is taking a worker placement style direction with 4 different boards that are going to be rotating around the table. And you're only going to be placing your workers on the section of board that's in front of you. This is from Road to Infamy Games, from the makers of the game sitting right below Flock Together here, Globetrotters, as well as the previously well-acclaimed Canvas. And now this is completely different though than those other two, especially from a mechanistic standpoint. I'm assuming that this is going to be some sort of deluxeified Euro worker placement style game, as we've seen most of that happen on Kickstarter and crowdfunding in general. So I would be surprised to see a departure from that aspect. Sorry, and it's 20th century, not 19th or 18th. For some reason, I thought it was back further, but in my head, I guess I was thinking 1900s, and I completely screwed it up on my mouth. You guys know that. If you watch any of my reviews, I mispronounce stuff all the time, right? Luflawful. Anyway, no one watched that review, although a few of you that caught that in the comment section, you guys are all over that. You guys thought that was hilarious, so thank you for that. But that's going to be the other big one that's going to be launching this week as well. And you know what? It just seems like a cool concept. If you can actually make this combination and this balance of rotating board and only having one quadrant available to you based off of the resources that you're producing on other ones, are the other ones going to give you like additional resources as the turns go around by the time it comes back around to you? Or are they just going to kind of sit there and be inactive and out of your use until it comes back around to you? So how that dynamic is going to change or be able to be manipulated is really of interest to me, to kind of see what we can do, because I just saw the Reddit thread over there the other day that was commenting about the fact that, you know, hey, are there new mechanisms that are waiting to be discovered? And people were like, well, kind of, maybe, but it's really going to be variants on things we already know. But trying variants on things we already know is completely hit or miss, and that's why you see a lot of people doing the same very safe sort of things in the first place. So we'll see what Road to Infamy's got in store for us for that one. Last up, and definitely not least though, in case you missed the Game Feast announcements of all of Chip Theory's upcoming stuff, this is the one that's coming the soonest, right? This is Hoplomachus in Pandora's Box. Now, I'll be covering it in the news video either Sunday or Wednesday, depending on, again, what the timing of the videos goes. But they just announced like 3 other projects over on GameFound over the next like 9 months or so, including a reprint and more expansions of 20 Strong, the solo dice card-driven game that has yet to be delivered, and as well as, I think, Roth, which is a new Manny Tremblay game, as well as one other that I'm completely blanking on, I think. But this one is Pandora's Box. So if you go over to the GameFound page, though, it gives you actually more details than I was expecting. 3 new expansions, all playable with the base game. And the interesting thing with Victorum and the remastered is that people sort of don't really want the other versions. Like, I saw a lot of people saying, these are just completely better. Like, it's not a 1.5 version, it's like a 2 or 2.5 version. So, you know, take that for what it is. What you're getting here is you have Pandora's Ruin, Pandora's Wake, and Pandora's Might. And they give descriptions of all of them over there. They each have little sections within them. Victorum expansion with Ruin, a remastered expansion with Wake, and then a crossover between both of them with Pandora's Might. So, stretch goal is going to go along with this. Do you like Hoplomachus? I mean, this is the prototypical solo game that people seem to either really like or not. I mean, it's not as wide appealing, but I think the people who really love it really freaking love it. So it's been one of their mainstays on one of their lines of production for good reason. So we'll see kind of what it entails. You're going to have people F5ing like usual, get the strategy or whatever pledge it is that gets them all the future Chip Theory stuff as well. So, you know, that'll be a whole, you know, server issue in the first place. And then you'll just kind of have to see what else goes along with it. Chip Theory, you know you're going to get a good deal. That's about the best thing I can say. Games aren't always for everybody, you know, myself included. 20 Strong. I'm a backer of 20 Strong right now, and I'm a little bit nervous to be completely transparent with you. Don't know if I'm going to like it. And the Pandora's Feast thing, or the GameFound Feast thing that they announced, I was kind of really hoping that they would announce like a cooperative thing or even a head-to-head with the 20 strong, and they didn't yet. And so not that that's a bad thing, but there's like 3 Manny Tremblay expansions to go along with this. It kind of looks like an Alice in Wonderland style of things, if I'm remembering correctly. So I just don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I'm playing with wooden chickens while I'm talking to you, so I'm clearly distracted, but that's also my coping mechanism. So take that for what it is. But yeah, that's this week. I mean, that's crazy, right? But that's not even talking about next week's, which has Creature Caravans from Red Raven Games. Then we have The Final Girl Season 3. We have Founders from the makers of Ice that just got delivered. Transmission Season 2. Vagrant Song behind me, as well as Dragon Eclipse. So, I mean, like, I'm really going to be analyzing and looking at this stuff closely. And it's just going to be a question of when do I do the don't back video. The don't back this, you shouldn't back any of these for all these reasons, because we've already seen here in the first week of September tons of games. Like, I think I did 16 games in the roundup yesterday. And so I can't imagine there's going to be any less content than that. Maybe a few, but it's going to be crowded out as well if you're a small publisher. And so if you're not one of these big names with a big established backing or known reputation at this point, I would probably stay away at the same time. So we'll kind of see. But then there's always things like Mycilia, which just launched here on Thursday and actually did really, really well. It looks like one of the most solid games of the week, of this past week. So that was a nice surprise. And there's always 1 or 2 of those that are going to pop up along the way. And it's kind of cool just seeing what pops up the way, like Tic Tac Slash from 2 weeks ago, right? Like these little sleeper hits that are just kind of cool, that I like highlighting, that I love talking about. So that's kind of what we got going on in the upcoming week of crowdfunding. And that's why it's going to be crazy. And there's going to be dollars being chucked around like you're throwing $1 bills at a place that sometimes loses clothes. You know what I'm talking about. So that's what we've got going on. And in case it wasn't clear earlier, you missed the roundup. Yeah, I mean, my kid has a soccer tournament this weekend. We're driving 2 hours one way to do this soccer tournament, 2 games on Saturday and 2 games on Sunday. Spending way too much money on a hotel overnight too. So we're leaving the 3-year-old here to spend time with his cousins overnight. And so it's just gonna be the 4 of us, and it's gonna be something. I don't know how they're going to do. I'm hopeful that they're going to win a game. I chose my wording carefully there. Hopefully going to win a game. Don't know, though. But we'll not get back at too late of time on Sunday. So it's at least not horrible from that aspect. But by the time you're viewing this, I am going to be on the road probably already to the soccer tournament. So woo, super excited about that. So that's why there may be a Sunday video. There may not be a Sunday video, depending on what happens Saturday, right? Like, yeah, so Saturday, 4 of us, 1 room, kids bedtime, adult bedtime. It's gonna be something, folks, right? Ooh, first family vacation in a long time that we've all been stuck in 1 room together, and that's not even including the 3-year-old. So it's gonna be very interesting. It'll be fine. It's, you know, it's minor stuff. You can do it for 1 night. It's no big deal. So that's what we've got going on, and that's the craziness. And I probably won't be able to bring a whole lot with me either for a game standpoint, because I got a couple things I got to play. Tamashi from Awakened Realms, that's on my hot list of things to play right now. A bunch of reviews that I'm editing currently. I think I did like 6 or 7 reviews in the last 2 weeks of filming them, and so I've just got to get edited. And you know what? Sorry, at the end here, totally forgot to do this yesterday. Screwed up rules discussion on one of the previous videos from Hamlet, the village building game. Designer, publisher reached out to me and said, hey, you screwed that up. Would you mind? And I was like, oh man, you know, that's not what I meant to do. And, you know, I don't want to mislead people or, you know, get the wrong impression. And so they were super gracious, and they were like, hey, we just weren't sure if you saw it. When you caught it, we just wanted to make sure. And so, you know, I said, you know what, I'm in the wrong here. Mea culpa. I took the video down because my goal is to help people figure out what games are right for them and not. And so if I'm going to screw up talking about the rules, well, I need to do a better job. And I also need to either not screw up the rules for other people, or just make sure, 1, I don't screw up the rules for myself at the same time, but 2, give a fair impression, not based off of people thinking I'm playing the wrong thing or playing it the wrong way. So I apologize to them, and they were super gracious about that as well. But yeah, you know, you gotta sometimes fall on the sword. You screw up, you make mistakes, take accountability for it. Boom. Not like CM Punk. Oh, burn. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what I'm talking about. But somebody got fired for being a jerk to everyone that they're around. So it's wrestling. It's soap operas for men, folks. I'm sorry, I can't. But in case we're talking about this, again, I can't believe that no one had done it sooner, right? The whole Miz Invisible Cena gag with the camera and the setup for that. Like, he's done that, you know, you can't see me thing for years, and it finally someone actually did the fake out in terms of that, and it's just well done. So, and I'm afraid my boy Seth Rollins is going to lose his title at some point, but you know what, man, it's going to happen. I'm just, pins and needles when he's going to lose it. So I really want him to beat Reigns. That's really what I'm going for. And then, Omega losing again in a singles event, come on. I know he's putting people over and it's awesome, but he's still, I think, one of the best in the world. Maybe not named Will Ospreay, but yeah, kudos to kudos. Not a big Ospreay fan, but the guy's grown on me and he's a tremendous talent. So I'm talking about wrestling here at the end of a board game video. Deal with it. Two interests collide. Boom! That's all I got. Side note here, if we're talking about stuff I've watched, well, we might as well go through the full gamut besides a little bit of wrestling randomness. Somehow all 6 of you that are listening at this point. Caught up on Foundation. It's an excellent show. Highly recommend it. Finishing up on season 1 of Silo right now. Pretty good as well. Pretty good. Interesting to see where it's going to go. It's really got to grow, though, in terms of, actually telling you stuff instead of just like these little trotting. It's really trotting along kind of slow, which is good and bad in the same way. And I just finished Shadow Detective season 2. If you're a fan of thrillers or crime dramas at all, actually both seasons are over on, I believe it's Hulu right now. And I really recommend that one highly. Very excellent show. Highly, highly recommend that one as well. So very pleased by kind of how it ended, but the season was very solid in a whole. So that's what I got going on. That's where things are at. That's what I'm watching. And you know what? We'll go from there. So cool. Have a great freaking day. Have a great freaking weekend. Hopefully you're having more freedom than I am. They put just enough time between those soccer games. There's like 3.5 hours between those soccer games. Just long enough that you can't really do anything significant. The hotel won't check us in until the second game practically starts. And they were kind of rude about it. Like, even though I didn't ask, they were just kind of like, we won't check anyone in before this time because we're super busy. Okay. Just loiter in my car somewhere. Stay classy. Peace out. See you around.